At the age of 25, in 1982, you had a spiritual experience. Tell me about this.
Well, I had no any kind of background to it, and I was the last person to turn spiritual, if you have to look at it that way. I grew up in '60s. One afternoon, suddenly I was just sitting there and every cell in my body started bursting with ecstasy. Till then, I thought this is me. Suddenly I did not know which is me and which is not me. What was me was all over the place. I'm sure that sounds insane. Even I thought so. What is happening to me? I thought I'm going off my rocker But I was not willing to give up the experience because it was too fantastic. Then I realized, if I don't mess with my mind, if I simply sit here, every cell in my body explodes with ecstasy. Then I thought I've really discovered something, and I sat down, being 25 I sat down and planned, in next 2.5 years, I'm going to make the whole world ecstatic.
That was kind of a big mission.
That time, the population was only 5.6 billion people, but see, 38 years and as you said, we've touched a few million people, but that is not my idea of humanity.
What is your idea of humanity?
Well, 7.6 billion people right now So, now I'm condemned to be a failure in my life, but I'm a blissful failure. But this is what I'm telling everybody, I bless you with failure, because you must choose to do something that cannot be fulfilled in one lifetime. You take a few steps and others will take the next few steps. If your dreams come true, that means you have a bloody small dream.
The Isha Foundation is a non-profit organization active in many different sectors. Which are the key goals and which are the main focus areas for you there?
The spiritual process as a technology for well-being is the main process. But because in the world we live in, there are many issues, particularly in India, there is issues of nourishment, education and ecology. So these three things have taken very large proportions now. Our Rally for Rivers has been the largest ecological movement on the planet. 162 million people participated. Now we have hands-on projects. Just in a couple of months now, we are coming up with rejuvenating or revitalizing a river basin, which is about 83,000 square kilometers. So these activities are going on according to the need of the situation. The fundamental goal is the human being. But when somebody is thirsty or hungry, you can't teach them how to meditate, so I'm also trying to fulfill those things
At the core, though, is still yoga. Even though with the Isha Foundation you're now focusing on the environment, on education, on social outreach programs and so on, so you're also benefiting from yoga in spreading into those industries and businesses.
I don't see it that way. What I see is human requirement is well-being. To be well, it's necessary, food, water, air, things must be taken care of. When those things come into question, then you will have to attend to it. Though that is not my absolute focus, right now we are involved heavily in these things because these are all done by our different segments of volunteer forces, and young people have come and they're working without any expectation. You know, this is the unique nature of the foundation, that unpaid, people are working 7 days of the week, 365 days. So to keep them inspired, I'm also 7 days, 365 days on
And how do you manage your schedule, Sadhguru? You're traveling all the time.
Yes, in the next… in the next 6 days, I'm in 4 countries. That's how it is all the time.
You're not giving up on your yoga mission at all. Now…
Not giving up, but I know I'm destined to be a failure, but I'm a blissful failure. The thing in life is, if we do not do what we cannot do, it's not a problem. But if we do not do what we can do, we are a disaster. So, my life is about seeing that nobody's life becomes a disaster. every human being should do everything that is possible to be done towards a solution.
But right now there are so many burnout syndromes, young people losing, their minds, losing their orientation, millennials and the Generation Y. So what is your advice for them?
See, this is because they're trying to upgrade their activity without upgrading the machine. Without upgrading the capability of this machine, if you upgrade the activity, you will burn out. It is like you took a streetcar on a Formula 1 track, it'll burn out. So they want to speed without upgrading the machine. This is all they need to focus on, how to upgrade this life. If you keep on upgrading this life, activity will naturally follow.
There are so many different forms and styles of yoga. Ashtanga, yoga retreats, puppy classes, animals doing yoga. It's really going a bit crazy, right? But which is your favorite form of yoga?
See, all this twisting and turning is not considered yoga, but they've picked up something from yoga and they're doing these things.
But that is then a business, right?
It is, but that's what I said. When you say a business, we have, as a generation of people, we have decided to move towards market economy. What this means is the demand will decide which direction we go. Is this the best thing to do? Maybe not. But is there a better way to do it right now? I don't think so. We have not found a better way to do except the market way. Well, those who have a certain conscience will do the market sensibly, some will misuse it, this is always there. But the important thing is, we need to understand yoga is not a practice. Yoga is a state that you attain to. When your experience of life is in union with everything around you, then we say you're in yoga. Right now, people are mistaking asanas as yoga. Asanas means postures. Postures are just a preparatory. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which has over 200 Yoga Sutras, only one sutra is about asanas. What it says is, any posture that is comfortable and stable for you, this is your asana. But to find that posture, you have to do a little bit of work. That work is being misunderstood as total form of yoga.
This is my arsenal right now. Let's talk about social media as well, Sadhguru. And obviously you're very big on all the digital platforms. On YouTube you have some 3 million followers, on Twitter 2 million. How important is social media in pushing your teaching and the message of yoga?
This is not about a competition or showing the numbers. As I said, my goal is 7.6 billion people. Every one of them should at least know, if they don't know ecstatic way of living, at least they must know how to live peacefully and joyfully within themselves. See, what we can do outside, what we can do in the world is determined by various factors in the world, but how we are within ourselves is entirely decided by us. So, at least your experience of life on this planet must be pleasant. You may not climb Mount Everest, you may not become the richest man, you may not do something else. At least you must live peacefully and joyfully. This much every human being deserves and this much must happen. The tools for this is what we are calling as technologies for well-being. It has a yogic background, but I'm generally avoiding using the word yoga because if you say yoga, people think I have to twist and turn. It is not necessarily twisting and turning. There are many different ways of doing it. How many ways means, when Adi Yogi, the first yogi, was asked how many ways, he said, as many ways as there are atoms in the existence. That many ways are there.
Let's zoom out and talk about the state of the world today. Which are the biggest challenges, in your opinion, that the world is facing today?
As you see, climate is a major challenge. Right now, I just came from India today morning. Water has become a serious issue. I have been screaming hoarse for the last 30 years, only now they're beginning to listen when things go bad. So everybody asking me, media coming and asking me in the last few days, Sadhguru, how did this happen? I said, well, 30 years I've been speaking. You guys thought it's some kind of an alarmist joke. But when it comes to your doorstep, now there's really no water to drink, Now you're asking why? You must talk about water shortages and water requirements not when there is a serious crisis, because we'll do desperate things.
So you still have a lot of conviction work to do in the world when it comes to that message.
But now everybody is listening. We have written a policy for how to manage India's rivers, which has become an official recommendation from the central government to all the states. They sent it as an official recommendation to all the 29 states. Plus, now we are doing one project hands-on, another project with the government. So, large-scale projects are being envisioned right now. See, the problem is just this, the problems of democracy is also this, that the governments, their lifespan is only 4 years or 5 years, so they think in those terms. When it comes to ecology, you at least have to think in tranches of 25 years at a time. 25 to 50 years, you must think minimum.
So which would be the best political system, in your opinion?
No, there's no alternative to democracy, but I'm saying every system has its problems. I'm just pointing out that because political parties tend to think in 3 to 4 year terms, long-term investments are not coming the way it should come. Where investments are scarce, they want to create an impact with what they do in their period. So, people always thought ecology is tomorrow's problem. No, ecology is today's problem. It is not tomorrow's problem, this we must understand. And another fundamental mistake has been that if you address ecology, we will neglect economy. This is the basic difference I'm trying to bring about, that ecology and economy are not against each other, we can handle them together towards the well-being. Economy can be structured in an ecologically sensitive way.
You have been named one of the most important Indian figures in terms of protecting the environment. So which are your next big plans when it comes to fighting climate change around the world?
See, a large-scale campaign is going on in India towards this, about rivers, ponds, because water is a basic thing. But the real problem is not water, the real problem is soil. The soil has lost its organic content and the soil has become weak, that's why the water has become a problem. As a part of this, we are doing a movement called Kaveri Calling. Kaveri is a river, Kaveri is calling. This is a river along which I grew up from my childhood. I know this river very well. Today that river is at least 46% less water than what it was 40 years ago. So we are seeing how to convert at least 1/3 of this river basin into agroforestry to revive the river. This will also be a solution for farmer distress that region is experiencing. There are many farmers committing suicide. This agroforestry is a solution. We've already converted over 70,000 farmers into agroforestry and their incomes have gone up many-fold, 5 to 10 times it's gone up. So, right now we are asking for the governments to give some kind of incentive to push large number of farmers from regular farming to agroforestry. If we pull this off successfully, I'm having a three-tier approach towards this of 4 years. In 12 years' time, if we convert 33% of the farmers into agroforestry in this region, the river will flow and the farmer distress will go completely because nearly 82% of the farmers are debt-ridden, they will never come out of it because the problem of agriculture in India is of scale. The land ownership is so small, the investments are big, but they can never reap that from that little piece of land. So we are seeing how to integrate irrigation and marketing. The farming can happen still on an individual level. So we have come up with a structure which is the government-approved thing called Farmer-Producer Organization, through which we can integrate irrigation and marketing so that they can function successfully. We've already tried these models and they're very successful by bringing farmers together, creating the power of scale. Right now, the problem is lack of scale.
Before we go, just briefly, Sadhguru, what do you think about political problems that we are facing right now, like the rise in nationalism and protectionism around the world and the US-China trade war? How to address those issues?
See, here we are in Europe. This is a land which has gone through 2 world wars. The bitterness with which those wars were fought. 70 years ago or 80 years ago, whoever imagined the Germans, the French, the English, the Spanish and the Italians will come together as one. But European Union for me is not just an economic arrangement. I think it's a shift in human consciousness, because putting aside such bitterness of war, still when that generation, many of that generation are still alive, being able to put that aside and come together as a union, I think was a phenomenal development.
Do you believe that in the future we will see more peace or more war?
Depends what we do with the world and ourselves. If we are more peaceful human beings within ourselves, we will naturally create peace. So this is why yoga is important, because without peaceful human beings, there is no peaceful planet. There are not too many problems in the world, there's only one problem, human beings. Without transforming the way human beings perceive and experience life, which will in turn lead to the way they act in the world, there's really no enduring solution.
Sadhguru, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.